We begin tonight's broadcast with a follow-up to last night's not guilty verdict of Rick Chow, a day after he was acquitted of murdering 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton. We saw reaction, or we're getting reaction, from the community.
Hello, I'm your chief judge, aka your divine judge. I'm back here today, unfortunately, with a verdict in a case that is sad for all around, and unfortunately, for the community at large, this was a very touching case to me. So we'll be going over the case of Rick Chow. Jury finds Rick Chow not guilty in shooting death of 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton. So we'll be going over this case and what happened, where prosecutor succeeded or failed, and where defense succeeded or failed. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share if you like this type of content. And I'll also go over the background and more of the case, and I'll continue the video of what happened.
Our crews saw protesters gathered outside Chow's former gas station off of Park Lane Road in Columbia. Richland deputies also at the store now at this hour. They have been there since shortly after the verdict was announced last night. News 19's Whitney Sullivan speaking with criminal defense attorney John Mobley tonight. He was asked where does he believe things possibly broke down for the prosecution in presenting his case.
From opening statements, one of the vast contrasts that I saw between the prosecution and the defense, where I believe the prosecutors dropped the ball, is they didn't really do much to humanize the victim in the case. And I remember listening to both opening statements. And while the prosecutor, the solicitor, did mention he was 14 years old, that was kind of it. Had I been prosecuting that case, I would have talked about not only his age, but where he went to school, what he liked to do for fun, what video games he liked. I would have wanted to bring him to life so the jurors could have some image of this young man, this life in their mind, and they just didn't do that. Something I would have done differently if I was a prosecutor, and I don't think that they really leaned into the fact that this teen was hunted. They talked about him being chased out of the store about a bottle of water. That was kind of their big theme. They kind of hung everything on that, all about a bottle of water. This team was hunted. I mean, 130 yards. And I remember when, in opening statements, when they talked about that, one thing I thought was great was he described that it was that 130 yards would be the equivalent of a football field, goalpost to goalpost. Had I given that opening statement, I would have had that picture up there. I would have had a visual picture of a football field from goalpost to goalpost so the jury could see how far they hunted. These two grown men hunted this 14-year-old. And I would have used that word. I wouldn't have said chase. I would have said hunted. That's how I would have really portrayed this, and which I think is accurate, quite frankly. Now, on the flip side, the defense, in their opening statement, they talked about the defendant's credentials and how he came to America and how he built his business and his family. They gave the jury all this information to humanize this person. So, I mean, big difference. I think that made a big difference in the jury's mind because they can identify with one side more than the other.
Again, criminal defense attorney John Mobley with his opinion about what happened in this case. And new tonight, we're hearing from the Fifth Circuit Solicitor Byron Gibson on the not guilty verdict. He did issue a statement late today saying that last night's verdict has brought on strong emotions from our local and national communities. He added that he's disappointed with last night's outcome and continues to believe that Chow's actions were not justifiable. However, he adds that he respects our criminal justice system and the jury's decision. For complete coverage of the Rick Chow.
Now, before I play this next clip, again, no copyright intended, I don't own these clips, I'm going to just give you a little brief background visuals on the case. So now, as we know, a South Carolina jury on Monday found a store owner not guilty of murder in the 2023 shooting of a black 14-year-old. The jury returned a verdict for cheeky Rick Chow, who is 61 and also who is Asian, shot Cyrus Carmack Belton in the back after chasing him from his convenience store in Columbia. He maintained he acted to defend his son son, killing sent waves of anguish through the Black African American community, who, by the way, their population is nearly half in that particular county of Richland. Now, as I go over this case, the basic background, essentially, what this stems from is the case arose from a fatal shooting on May 28, 2023 in Columbia. Rick Chow owned a convenience store and believed 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton had attempted to steal bottles of water. Authorities later stated that Cyrus did not leave the store with any stolen merchandise. After Cyrus left the store, Chow, his adult son Andy Chow, pursued him during the chase. Rick Chow fired a single shot that struck Cyrus in the back, killing him. A handgun was later recovered near Cyrus in central dispute in the case was whether Cyrus pointed the gun at Andy Chow, creating a threat that justified deadly force. Here is the next clip about the case.
That not guilty verdict drawing strong reactions all across the region. Hours after the jury acquitted Chow of murder, dozens gathering outside the Columbia gas station he once owned, where that incident started. Our Kiana Jordan was there early this morning when people started rallying.
Anger, grief, and frustration, emotions spilling onto the sidewalk outside the Park Lane Road gas station where Cyrus Carmack Belton was shot to death 3 years ago. Hours after a jury found Rick Chow not guilty, protesters gathering there early Tuesday morning.
And a lot of sorrow, man. That young man had a gun on him, yes, sure, but he not only was he right because he didn't steal the water, he still walked away knowing that he had something that could have protected himself. For him to have the sense to still walk away, that man would have been bright, you know what I'm saying? That man would have been something special about that man, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like something was taken from us as a community.
Some of the protesters say the verdict hits close to home. Genesis Fulmore came out as a mother to pay her respect and protest the verdict.
This baby died. He lost his life. And the verdict itself, hearing that mother cry as a mother with 3 children, it pierced my soul. I am disgusted.
More than 20 Richland County Sheriff's deputy patrol cars, vans, and trucks line the property, which is no longer owned by Rick Chow. Some protesters frustrated by their presence.
That rubbed me the wrong way as I come out here and I see a lot of people that look like me. A lot of people, way too much. I feel like that ain't, what side are you on?
I don't understand why there are so many Richland County police deputies out here.
Another man says he came as a father holding a bottle of water up to cars passing by as a symbol of the hate he says black children receive.
It goes to show that a bottle of water, our kids' lives, our lives are not worth a bottle of water.
I think the prosecution failed us because they should have added on the lesser charge, and manslaughter should have also been on the table.
Benita Robinson with the Racial Justice Network says this protest will not be the only protest and that the organization is planning an economic boycott coming up. Now, the Shell gas station here on Park Lane Road is now owned by a James 20 LLC, according to the Richland County Public Records.
As I had noted earlier, this was a very emotional, very dramatic case, and my heart goes out to his family and his friends, and to that community. Now, similar to the legal analyst, the attorney that spoke earlier in this video, I'm going to break down what the prosecutors argued during this case and the defense attorney as well. So prosecutors argue Cyrus had not stolen anything. He was running away when he was shot. Rick Chow chased him well beyond the store property. The shooting was not justified self-defense. Witnesses other than Chow family did not report seeing Cyrus pointing a gun. The thing was essentially a store owner pursuing a teenager and shot him in the back after a mistaken belief about shoplifting. This is my personal opinion and disclaimer. This is not me necessarily giving one legal advice. This is for information purposes only. As I was thoroughly researching in this case, while store owners and workers or security guards do have a legal right to stop and detain a suspect shoplifter, their authority generally ends at the store's property line. Chasing a suspect beyond the premises, such as into a public street or neighborhood parking lot, carries severe legal and physical risk. The right to stop a a shoplifter is governed by a legal concept known as shopkeeper's privilege. This privilege dictates how and where a suspect shoplifter can be handled. On the premises is a main big point issue. Under merchant statutes, staff can briefly detain a suspect if they have reasonable grounds or probable cause to believe theft occurred. This detention must be conducted in a reasonable manner for a reasonable length of time while waiting for law enforcement. Beyond the premises, once the suspect leaves the store property, the shopkeeper privilege usually expires. Chasing him outside can expose the worker and business to legal liability. If an employee physically attacks, injures, or falsely imprisons someone off property, they can face criminal charges such as an assault and battery or civil lawsuits for false imprisonment or negligence. Another big important thing, strict company policies. Even when chasing a shoplifter, it is legally permitted in some states. Almost all major retail chains such as Walmart, Target, and other major grocery stores strictly forbid employees from chasing suspects. This is to prevent physical violence, injuries to bystanders, and costly lawsuits. Employees who chase shoplifters are often terminated immediately for violating company safety policies. Now, under the law, what many legal experts suggest, if you are a store owner or worker dealing with retail theft, it is highly recommended to follow established loss prevention procedures, which normally advise to not engage physically, observe the suspect in noting a physical description, contacting local law enforcement immediately. Now, before I dive further into how the prosecutors handled this case and then go into the defense attorney, I'm glad I gave you a bit of not only a background on the case, but some just some information on who these two individuals were. But it is important to note that this fits into a larger topic of Black people in the United States, in the West, unfortunately dealing with racial disparities and discrimination and sometimes an unfair justice system. Now, I do want to go deeper into that subject in a separate video, and I will do that, and I will have that coming out soon. But right now, if you haven't followed me along so far in this video and like this content, please subscribe, like, and share, and please comment. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the prosecutor's theory which they argued in court, was Cyrus had not stolen anything. He was running away when he was shot. Chow chased him well beyond the store property line. The shooting was not justified self-defense, and witnesses other than Chow family did not report seeing Cyrus point a gun. And I just want to point out that Cyrus Carmack Belton, he was a 14-year-old middle school graduate described by family and friends as outgoing, funny, and well-liked. Now, here's another video breaking down what happened, then I'm going to go into details of the defense.
She walked in the door? Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to put it on the street and dip. You told him to put on the backpack inside? Yes. Yeah.
Ty, just real quick. Did you find Mr. Chow being to be an adept at navigating through his security system?
Very much so.
Okay, we just saw some of it. Was he able to fast forward his video?
Fast forward, rewind, slow it down.
Okay.
Enlarge.
Was he able to speed it up?
Yes.
Put it in reverse?
Yes.
Zoom in?
Yes.
Zoom out?
Yes.
Toggle between different cameras?
Yes.
Was he able to do that for you rather quickly?
Yes.
Okay. All right, continue. I'm sorry.
You have another camera. Let me not touch anything. You have a camera that can show. Yes, that's you want to see this. I see that video right now. see it on what you're doing. Go back to the television. Yeah, go back to when you first here. Back to the principal.
Actually, could he go back to the angle where he was at the water cooler?
All right, so you just asked him, can you rewind and go back to the angle where he's at the water cooler?
Correct.
Why did you ask him? Why did you direct him to do that?
Well, wanted to look at it to see exactly what the young man did to make sure that we saw what we thought we saw.
Okay. To your knowledge, was any stolen merchandise found on or around Mr. Cyrus Carmack Belton?
No.
Okay. And you're asking him now to go back to the scene where he's at that water cooler, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I'm going to continue playing it now, okay?
Yes, sir.
his foot to the soul. I can say before it's not shooting.
Now, that was the video from the crime scene and what they also played in court. I will play the rest of the video later, along with some other clips. Please like, subscribe, and share, and look out for part 2. It should be up very soon.